Josh Hutcherson seems like one of the actors you rarely talk about unless he's in something that's noteworthy and shows him as one of the greater talents throughout the production. He's not a bad actor by any means, but he does have a few tells in his performance that don't seem to change too much and thereby keep him from being seen as completely versatile and even adaptable. That being said, he's still able to turn in a great performance in most of the movies he's been in, depending on whether he's a main or supporting character. In those movies where he barely shows up, it's safe to say that he's kind of a non-entity, like a lot of people would be, unless they happen to be that famous and are going to draw attention just because they're a big name star. He's on the list of good actors, but it might take a while for him to reach a higher level where his very name might attract a legion of fans. Here are some of his best performances in movies to date. Number 5. RV.
The hotel in Hawaii has a weight room. Doesn't anybody respect my lifting schedule?
Honestly, this movie seems like it got drop-kicked into the DVD bin rather than placed there with any amount of respect. If you've ever been on an RV trip with your family, however, then you know that there was some realism to this, no matter how comical and over the top it was. Obviously, an RV isn't going to make it all the way up a rocky mountain, and it won't be coming down in one piece, but the funny part is how it rolled all the way down and then into its previous parking spot, where it finally lost momentum. It was a comedy made to be a comedy, not literal and serious movie. People's sense of humor has certainly gone downhill when it comes to films like this. Number 4. Detention.
Clifton, you're my Ralph Macchio. Do the crane thing.
I like you, Ione, but you're really weird.
When teens start being killed by a fictional being known as Cinderella, a principal decides to take the most likely suspects and put them in detention to avoid having any more murders on his hands. The only problem is that he not only lines them up as fresh targets, he's doing exactly what a principal in a horror movie usually does, creating another problem to go along with the problem that he already has. It's still a movie that makes you jump and possibly laugh at the implications that a firm-handed approach is the best, since in the history of films, the firmer the hand, the more likely it is that the problem will get worse. Number 3. Red Dawn.
Guys, what are we even doing up here? We should just go back. Matt, I'm sorry. My parents are still down there.
The story here is much the same, but with some serious updates for the current era, plus the fact that it's now the North Koreans that are invading, and with an EMP that was designed to take down the entire US power grid. A lot of people voiced their displeasure with the remake and made it known that nothing would ever replace the original. But if all you do is watch movies and claim that they'll never be better than what came before, then all you're doing is stating that you have no desire or capability to move forward in your viewing habits. This movie was well done despite what others want to say. Number 2. Bridge to Terabithia.
You're lucky to have a sister.
Yeah, I got 4 of them and I trade them all for a good dog.
I'd love to have a dog.
The imagination is a powerful thing when we're younger, and something that many people would love to keep around, since it makes us feel empowered and important somehow. When Jess and Leslie create Terabithia, it becomes their own private haven where they are allowed to be themselves and anything else they'd like to be. But when Leslie accidentally drowns in the creek near the entrance to Terabithia, Jess is so devastated that he nearly turns his back on the world. In the end, however, his relationship with his parents begins to improve, and he even admits his little sister into his world, where she had been previously shunned. Number 1. The Hunger Games.
I just keep wishing that I could think of a way to show them that they don't own me. If I'm gonna die, I want to still be me.
In this first movie, Peeta seems kind of useless since he's got his strength and his ability to hide, and that's about it. At first it even seems as though he's turned on Katniss, though he's not quite as ruthless or as skilled as the warriors that he's with. This makes Peeta seem a bit weak, as though he doesn't really belong in this contest, but at the same time the guy knows how to hide, and if he was any kind of a fighter, this would be an awesome skill to have. Of course, Peeta does seem to be something of a bleeding heart when it comes to Katniss, so once again, he's kind of a weak character in terms of personal strengths. Josh Hutcherson needs a real test of his acting ability that should loosen him up.